Wondering what's next in your business or personal life? Welcome to Success to Significance, Life After Breaking Through Glass Ceilings, a podcast dedicated to helping you with all of life's challenges, discoveries, and opportunities. Whether you're seeking a new career, retirement, or simply wanting to make an impact in your community or the world. Join Jen Du Plessis and her guests as they explore how to start, what to do when you're in the thick of a change or growth, and how to leave a mark in this world after breaking through your next achievement. You are moments away from the aha you've been seeking.
Hello and welcome back to this episode of Success to Significance. I'm your host, Jen Du Plessis, and today with me I have Tori Boats. She is a one-to-one coach and strategic advisor for business owners who have the ambition to grow and value building a rich life that they enjoy along the way. She teaches the Visionary Advantage System that we're going to learn a little bit about today. And what's vital to her clients' continued success is the ability to have an holistic view of their lives in business that pushes them beyond traditional business boundaries so that they can create a bigger impact for themselves and for the world. So with that said, Tori, welcome to the show. We are delighted to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you about all this because you and I do virtually the same thing. We do virtually the same thing, and I love hearing other people that are doing the same thing, what their angle is, what their perspective is, what their take is on this, but more specifically, why this is so important to you. Because I know for myself, I had to go through something so that my mess could be my mission, right? So tell us what your mess was, so to speak. What did you have to go through that made you realize, I've got to share this with the world because people are working too hard and not playing enough?
Yes, that is quite a whirlwind. And it's interesting that you call it a mask because I often use that as a metaphor to say that I was really running through my life with this mask on. And I think it was my first business, and I worked in the technology field. So we built systems for space, and we did a lot of things for the federal government and intelligence. And it's really cool, fascinating work. And I was finding that I was trying to grow constantly. And that's a good thing. When you're in business, you want to grow, you want your company to be successful, you want your own personal wealth to grow. And I was just on this, I guess people call it a hamster wheel, but I found that when people would ask me at networking events, I was at networking events probably 3 or 4 times a month. And I would see the same people, and we knew each other, but we didn't really know each other, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And they would ask me, "How are you doing?" Because my business was ginormous success. We were making, over $1 million a month. We had 8-figure growth in it was recurring profitable revenue. So everything on paper looked really good.
Right, right.
And I felt like I had this mask where I had to tell them, "I'm fine."
Right.
And,
Mm-hmm.
my little feet were just going, going, going. And I have 3 young children, and I'm growing a business at the same time, hiring people, managing staff. We had over 75 people in the company. And I just faked it every single day that I went to work. And that was that mask that I had on where I'm always smiling. And I literally would get out of the car and put it on. It was almost like I was stepping into this role of somebody else and moving through my life that way. It was eventually devastating. I often say that there's this little money demon, and I love money. There's nothing wrong with money. It's very important to be able to do anything in our lives. But when it makes the decisions for you and it's in the back of your head saying, well, only go that direction if it means more money, um, it begins to be that chasing it, it was almost killing me. And that was a huge wake up call when I just couldn't feel happy. My kids would be playing, and I remember I was sitting on our swing set, and my kids were laughing, and they were all young. They're probably all in preschool at this time. So it was quite a while ago. And I so desperately wanted to be able to feel the joy that I heard,
Mm,
and
mhm,
I wanted to be part of that,
mhm,
and it felt like there was this thick glass standing in between me on this swing,
mhm.
just kind of depressed there and not able to even sit up straight, and I just couldn't reach through that glass. It was like a barrier, and, that was one of the wake-up calls that something had to change.
Yeah. And I mean, my story is very similar. I was at a restaurant and I looked into the window of the restaurant and my family was enjoying themselves and laughing and etc. But I wasn't in it. I was watching it like a train go by. And so I get that, and just trying to reach out, to achieve that success. And I think that this is something that a lot of entrepreneurs do, great widget makers. And then want to own a widget making company, and what they do is they fall into the trap of being that same practitioner, now working more hours and not having a consistent paycheck, so they might be better off going back to work, right? And so what you and I do is help them realize that they can, I always say, create a work life that makes life work, right? So
Yeah.
that you have an ability to have a beautiful life at the same time. So I certainly can understand that. And that cheerleader syndrome, right? Of just always being the cheerleader, always being positive, always being high, hi, everything's fine. And then, it's like a duck underneath the water, that everything's just falling apart and we're barely floating, we're barely floating. And what a lot of people don't know is that birds can drown because all they do is they learn how to float. They don't learn how to swim. So they can
I
drown.
did not know that.
Yeah, and so for us, we could be drowning, or on the verge of drowning just because we're going crazy. We look like we're floating. So okay, so let's talk about some of these, what you're talking about, your visionary advantage. Because you speak to that, so there's a mechanism behind that, and I think I see some pieces of it, but you have a comment here about winning the game of business. So I don't know if it's the same thing or not, but maybe we'll explore that. So tell us a little bit about what exactly you do to help businesses and who that person is that's reaching out. What is the person saying? Because this is, or thinking, some side comments that they might be making at a networking event or to themselves when they wake up in the morning, when they go to bed at night, right? Uh, that makes them really be working in a place of scarcity and not abundance. And they're about ready to break through that ceiling into abundance. What are they saying to themselves? And then tell us a little bit about the advantage, the
You hit
vision.
on a really important concept, which is the scarcity versus abundance. And at the time when I really needed a change, I didn't understand that language.
Mm-mm,
And I find that a lot of my clients are hearing the words empathy and compassion and not really understanding what it means.
mm-mm,
Um, we can all look up a definition, but how do you actually embody that? How does it show up in your life? And what they often forget is how to have compassion for themselves
mm-hmm,
because they're fine. Their life is going fine, everything's fine. And what they're saying is, I can't do it anymore. I'm tired. I'm miserable. Um, and it's that they're not happy at their work. So I found myself not wanting to get up out of bed, but not just on Monday morning. I was dreading every day.
every day.
And yeah, and I find that sometimes my clients aren't quite there. That's a
Mhm,
pretty extreme place to be. They're, like you said, they're practitioners running businesses, wishing, gosh, we're at this point, we're successful, but I'm being split in a million pieces. I don't know where to put my focus. I don't know where to put my attention. Everything's a priority.
mhm,
And when you're growing a business, you have organic growth of your current clients. Then you've got to network and to market. And marketing isn't always as cut and dry as engineering. And then you have all the people that are your current customers that you need to make happy, your clients. It's your customer service
mhm.
piece.
Yeah.
But you also have the product and your delivering a product, but you're needing to do bug fixes if you're in technology. Some of my folks are interior designers, and their product delivery is their design aesthetic into the client's, into their home or their
Mhm.
facility. And then you've got new products that you have to develop. So you're all of a sudden juggling all of these balls, and they're all important because they all help you grow. And so they find themselves not knowing how to focus, prioritize, and split their time. They can't even grow their team. They're so busy.
Right.
And I find that the differentiator for my clients that really enjoy working with me most are asking themselves, I just want my business to mean something. What's the meaning underneath my business? What's going to help me get up in the morning and go? Um, it's almost like, yes, you're in business to make money, but I wish I had a story to tell. I
Mhm.
want a story to tell my investors so that they want to invest in my company. I want a story to tell to my employees so I can attract candidates to my business. Where is the top talent? Why aren't they coming to my company and
Mhm.
working with me?
Mhm.
And, I remember giving an all hands meeting to my employees. And before I would step up on stage, I'd have to hype myself up.
Mhm.
And it's not that I didn't love the people I worked with, and I didn't I loved the work I did. I loved the outcome we produced, but I had to talk myself into being uber excited and hyped up
Mhm.
because I thought that was the way to get my employees hyped up to wanna
Right.
help me grow the business,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I felt so fake.
Mhm.
And a lot of my clients either feel the pressure of having to perform or having to figure out, "I don't know how to affect culture. Isn't it from the bottom up?" And no, it isn't. It really does
Oh, that's
start
leadership.
with you.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
starts with you.
Yeah. Well, and I think, going back to scarcity versus abundance, in my own place, people would say, "How are you?" Just like they did with you. And you're like, "Oh, I'm fine." Because you don't want them to think that you have a weakness.
Yes,
Right, and so
absolutely.
that's really what we're masking as a weakness. So we're like, "Oh, we're fine, we're fine." And I realized, you used a couple of different words, but, vulnerability is a word that I use, quite a bit, is to be vulnerable, to be authentic, and say, "You know what? I'm not fine. I'm struggling to find, a production partner. I am struggling to figure out or make a decision on who I'm going to use for social media." And I realized that once I started allowing that to come through, and for me, it wasn't a mask, it was armor, right? And I was poking
Mhm.
holes in my armor. I was afraid to take my shell off completely. But so I was poking holes in it and letting a little bit shine through. But as that light shines through, people are attracted to it. That's how people get attracted. They go, "Oh, there's a light," right? And they're attracted to the light. And so I started going, "Oh, I need to tell everybody all my flaws. Yeah, I'm really struggling with this. And I screwed up on stage there. And I lost a client. And I got a client." But I started sharing all of that. And all of a sudden I became this light beacon, and people started, coming to me and saying, "Well, how'd you do it? How are you doing it? How are you getting it done?" And now I was able to share that with people. And so I'm sharing that as another example of what you're saying, is that we have to open up to people. And we are business owners, so we know about know, like, and trust. We know what
Mhm.
people do,
Yeah.
right? We know what they do. We like them, we hope, right? And the reason that we don't have business is because there's a lack of trust. And trust only comes through knowing who they are, not just what they do, not their title, job, that job title, but just knowing, who they are and what they, who they are, as opposed to what they do. And, I think that that's very powerful that you're bringing this up, that we have to be more open to getting help. And Warren Buffett says it too, and so does Dr. Greg Reed. Surround yourself with people, that can handle your weaknesses. Um,
Ooh, I love that.
you know and that's
Mhm.
and that's exactly what it is, and that's how you build that team. So okay, so sharing a little bit about what you're doing and how you're helping people, what they might be looking at is, how do I'm just frustrated. Maybe they have a lid on their business, maybe they have a lid on their mindset, right? Is this what it's going to be? Every day, day in, time to make the donuts, right? Every day, every year, is this what it's going to be? Isn't there more out there? So I know this,
Isn't there more out there? Yeah.
yeah. And so this leads into vision, because vision is inspiration and it's what gets us up in the morning. So share with us about that aspect of what you bring to people so that they can snap out of it and break through.
Right. You had mentioned earlier, what is this visionary advantage? And, winning at work is there's like an acronym underneath it. It's called I grow. And it's really that is the 360-degree view. And it's not so much about the framework as it is about the elements that you put in it. And when you can start with vision, I find that when people look to help others either grow their business or expand into a new market or whatever they're trying to do to grow or scale, that they start with the business itself. What's the business vision and mission? And they forget that in order to have that that's really truly motivating and meaningful, you have to go back further. It's like that genesis or that seed of the idea has to start internally. I remember looking externally when I was trying to figure out what's the next problem for me to solve. I was looking everywhere. I like to say that Chip and Dale broke me. And I was sitting in gymnastics in the parent room
Yeah.
where I was watching my toddlers at the time take gymnastics. And I was at this point where I was looking for that next problem to solve. I was trying to figure out what is the meaning behind my business? What's the story I can tell? What's going to motivate other people? And what's going to give me the idea for what's next?
Yeah.
And I was looking at Chip and Dale because they were these little characters on the ceiling in the parent room.
Right.
And I was looking everywhere for what is the problem I'm going to solve, even at Chip and Dale, going, there's got to be a problem in this room. And I kept coming back to these stupid little critters staring at me. And it was very painful. I didn't know the word anxiety at the time, but I was
Mhm.
just like constricted, almost like someone was sitting on my chest and wringing it out, struggling to find this next chapter. And what I learned was the answer isn't external, the answer is internal. And
Absolutely.
that's where the vision comes from. It starts personal. What am I trying to change? And sometimes even that is a really difficult thing to come up with. I was already changing the world. I was already contributing. My company was contributing. And I couldn't get behind that anymore. So it had to be something personal for me first. And I found that starting with a feeling, which was
Mhm.
completely foreign to me at the time, and that's where personal growth really has a play. You
Right.
mentioned vulnerability.
Mhm.
And, when you have a weakness that you're aware of, the last thing you want to do is admit it because everyone around you is like sharks in the water. They're going to take my business. They're going to compete against me.
We
And it can
think
be
that.
very much
We
like
think
that.
that. Yeah.
You think that, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but when you can open yourself up and start to explore,
Mhm.
what do I really want? And if that's the life piece, it's not the money that you want. It's the happiness that money and experiences can buy you. So
Absolutely. And that money and
yeah,
experiences can give to the world too. Grant Cardone
ab
says that people quit on money. They have these goals and these dreams, like when, if this happens, when that happens, once I do this, the one size, or the yeah buts, right? All of those things. And he says that they quit, and I believe this, that we quit on money, when someone says, hey, I want to make $1 million, and they make $1 million, and they're like, okay, I did my stuff. But the thing is,
yeah,
if you know how to make $1 million, you can make 6 and 7 and $8 million. And
absolutely.
right. And $10 million, you can duplicate that, but we quit on it and say, this is enough for me, rather than saying, well, now that I know how to do it, let me do this so that I can impact others. And whether it's philanthropy or whether it's starting another business, increasing, letting other people grow within your company and increasing their salaries, whatever it is, we tend to quit on business. And that's exactly what you're saying there. It's just, that I get what I want, and then I quit.
You know, if you're waiting until retirement or until you get there to be happy, to
Yeah.
finally let yourself be happy,
Mm.
then you're not going to recognize it when you get there. Happiness is not something that's a prize in the bottom of some box, like you're
Yeah.
digging through the Cracker Jack box looking for the prize or the cereal box. It's something you cultivate along the way. You have to feel happy in the moment
Yeah.
as you're going through the process. And, sometimes growing your business isn't fun. You it's hard work, and there's nothing wrong with hard work, but when you're sacrificing everything in your life, thinking that I just need this one thing and then I'll finally be happy and then I'll finally be there, you're going to continuously be chasing that carrot. That's kind of the trick, the hedonic treadmill. It keeps going.
Mm.
Your brain wants the dopamine from all the check marks it can make on your to-do list. So you're going to keep manufacturing things to chase because you
Yeah.
don't know how to feel happy at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
And never reach your, true potential or your true dreams. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So you mentioned, there's a acronym that you have. What is your acronym? You said,
It's I grow.
okay.
Um, it starts with igniting your impact, which is
Mhm.
finding what is the impact I'm here to make. What am I
Right.
meant to be doing?
Right.
Um, then we move into the strategy of your business.
Mhm.
So the G is goal in the right
Mhm.
direction versus
Right.
going in the right direction. You really need that beacon. Um,
Right.
the beacon or the thing that's moving you is help guiding you in the direction you need to go versus the little money demon.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, the R is revolutionizing your role and the rules that you play by. So I find that the relationships you keep all swim within that lane of who am I? What am I meant to be doing? What should a CEO be doing? I
Right.
don't really know what is the work of a CEO. How do I embody that leadership aspect? So that's the revolutionized piece. Then you're um, optimizing your operations and your opportunities. I find that if you're growing for growth's sake and you're chasing everything, it's called spray and pray. If you're
Yeah.
just going after anything that moves,
Mhm. Yeah.
you're going to
Yeah.
exhaust yourself. You're going
And
to exhaust
everybody
your
around
team.
you.
Yeah. I mean, no one's going to have the energy to do anything more. And if you're saying, I really want to grow, but how can I possibly put more on my plate? I'm so busy already. It's time to take a step back and to really look at what's going on. And
Mhm.
and that's where we look at optimizing your company, your team, your structure, but also your own time management. So
Right.
there's a lot of tactical pieces that go in there. And then the W, it really it's a circle. So it starts at W and it ends at W because first we have to feel worthy
Right.
and then we have to win at wealth.
Mhm.
So when you can really understand your value and
Mhm.
infuse it into the business that you create, infuse it into the environment that you work best, that your genius comes alive, that you can bring the team together and really have them performing because they're also achieving their own personal and professional vision
Yeah.
together with yours. Whoa, talk about synergy. You're
Yeah.
no longer having to hype them up. They're coming to you with answers and ideas. And it's just a beautiful thing when that system can start to really work and
Yeah.
it becomes a spiral up.
Right. And it's a situation where they move from you enabling them and having to be attached to every decision, every motion that happens in your business to
Yeah.
empowering them to make decisions on your behalf so that you don't have to be there for everything that happens in your business. And I think that that's, really critical. Bill Walsh, he's a great businessman, one of the best businessmen, business coaches, like business coaches. He doesn't do mindset. He's like, go talk to somebody else. I do business. One of the best business coaches around, and he says, that motivation is external, like you were saying. It's a cycle too, by the way, of, hey, I
Yeah.
need to get motivated. So let me go to a conference and then I get real excited and I try to put things into place and then they don't pan out. So then I need to get motivated again, right? I get deflated. Now I have to get motivated again. Whereas inspiration becomes something that, as a visionary, that's what helps you when you have the vision of what it is you want in your life. That becomes your inspiration every day, and you don't need that motivation from other people. And this is exactly what you're saying is, it's an inside job. I've said it before. Inspiration, you said it. Inspiration is that inside job, and it's the thing that helps you get up every single morning. So if you're not getting up like that. If you're going, oh, I have to get up, and I always say time to make the donuts from the old commercial, right? It's just time to make the
Yep.
donuts. Then you're working on motivation and not inspiration. And there has to be some work done, to find out, why am I doing all this? What is it that I
Why am I
want
doing
to achieve?
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're having trouble answering that question, do not go down the rabbit hole of what's my purpose?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a philosophical question. It's
I
not meant to
know.
be answered. I fell into that hole
And
so
nobody can answer it, but nobody can answer it. We're like, we don't
and
know,
it changes.
especially because I use the word why, but there is a why behind it. But I know what you're saying, because people say all the time, and Simon Sinek says, find your why, and people are like, I don't know how to find my
Talk
why.
about a spiral. Talk about
Yeah,
a death trap, is the finding your why, and
it's crazy.
not if you don't know where to look or how to look for it.
Right.
I had a gentleman come to me and he said, all right, Tori, I have an idea. My patent's almost done. I want to create a $5 billion business and I want to do it in 5 years. Can you help me? Yes, absolutely. I can help you. What do you need? What is the first thing you need? What was he searching for? He was searching for vision.
Yeah.
He said, I have a board of directors. I have my leadership team. I have my initial investors. I have other investors and prospects that I want. He's trying to land some deals with, you know, Fortune 500 companies to invest in his product because it's a piece that can go in their products, which
Hmm.
is a beautiful model. He goes, but nobody on my team has a vision. I'm like, well, do you not believe that you're the visionary? No, I can't be a visionary. I'm
Yeah.
just the
You're the
tech
one that has
guy.
to share your vision with them. Yeah.
Yes. And,
Yeah.
I find that a lot of owners that go into business, they don't know how to be a visionary. They think it's a personality type, but it's really something that you have inside that you can learn. It's a learnable skill. And he was able to find his own vision. And we worked together to figure out what is that change that you want to make for yourself? What's motivating this $5 billion business? Is that the right size? Does it make sense for the way you want to live, the way you want to lead, the team you want to manage? He had the credentials to be able to do that. And, we were building that why piece by piece. It's a layer and it doesn't take long. But if you don't believe in the possibility of your own ability to be extraordinary, it's just on paper. I want to become a $5 billion company. It's really feelingless.
It's very stagnant. Yeah. And it doesn't
Yeah,
have, yeah, I know what you're saying. It has limitations on it. And,
so
I
much.
mean, I used to do that when I remember when I was first, in business, I was, 19,
Yeah.
19. But when I first started, and that was just a job, but when I started doing sales and stuff, my manager would say, hey, I need your business plan. I literally would type on a piece of paper, I want to make $100,000 this year, and hand it to him, and he would take it. And that would be my plan, and
Oh,
I
no
thought,
guidance.
let it be written, let it be done. And of course it wasn't done. So then I heard from someone, well, no, you have to tell people about it. You have to put it out in the universe. You have to tell people. Of course, nobody said put it out in the universe. You just have to tell people about it. So
Yeah.
next year I still wrote it. I want to make $100,000. And then I told some people, and I thought, well, let it be written, let it be said, let it be done. And it still didn't happen. Right. And it took me a long time to figure out all the aspects that I have to do in order to determine or to reach, number one, for me at that point, to reach $100,000, but to also assess why. Why was it
Yeah.
$100,000? Why was it because somebody else said 100,000?
Exactly.
I don't know if
The
you
right
remember,
size.
yeah, and I don't know if you remember way back, if you had a Mont Blanc pen, you had arrived.
Oh, yeah. My
Remember? And
parents
so
had
I was
one,
like, oh, I gotta get a
dad
Mont
had
Blanc
one.
pen. That was my
Yeah,
goal,
I had a
right?
little orange one.
Yeah, yeah. And then when I got it, I was like, well, this is stupid. You got to replace all the ink and all this stuff.
It's heavy.
Right. It's heavy, it's bulky, it's not pretty, it just looks like
Mhm.
every other Mont Blanc. And then I realized that vision was everybody else's vision. It wasn't my vision. So was the 100,000. So I think even nowadays, when people talk about $1 million, I think that's just somebody else's vision.
Yeah.
What you have to do is have your vision. And if you think about Mother Teresa and Oprah, even Simon Sinek or oh gosh, what's his name? Elon Musk. They're visionaries because people follow them. They follow them because their passion guides them and nothing steers them clear of where they're wanting to go. And we have to be just like that. So I love that you're talking about vision with people. That's where it all starts, is where do you want this train to go? All the semantics are easy. It's where do you want to go? Yeah, I think that's beautiful. So you have a gift for my listeners. So tell us a little bit about the gift. We'll have the link in the show notes here, but tell us a little bit about the gift.
Sure. Well, I find people, when you're listening to a podcast, what do I do to take it further? How do I get in touch with the guest? So thank you for allowing me to share. There's 3 ways your audience can connect with me, and you can find each of them at toriboats.com. So the first way you should definitely check out is my audio content. You're here listening to a podcast. I have a podcast. There's tons of free content there. It's the Scale Right Revolution. You can head on over to toriboats.com/podcast, and you can even become a super fan of the show.
Yeah.
The second way is if you're thinking you'd like to chat about one-on-one support or book me to speak, I've streamlined that on my contact page, also at toriboats.com. And then the third way is one of my favorite things. So while you're listening today, if this is resonating in any way, I invite you to grab this special resource. It's to help you find your own visionary advantage. So for every client that I work with, whether it's one-on-one or VIP day or an extended engagement, we use the Visionary Advantage system as the foundation. And you can step right into using that system for yourself. It's a free gift. It's a starter pack to create your own visionary advantage. And inside, you'll find a new way of thinking about how to scale your business so you can continue to run at the highest level without missing out on life. It's the most important part. It's simple steps you can take immediate action on. There's even some fascinating journal prompts if you're into journaling. And if you have any questions, you can always email me. So you can get that starter pack by visiting toriboats.com/advantage. And you'll find my podcast, community connection, social links, and upcoming events all at toriboats.com.
Awesome. And there's also Tori Boats, and we want to be talking about this as well. There's toriboats.com/success to significance. You definitely want to go to that as well. And I don't know what you have going on there, but I know that that's the special link that you provided me. So
yes.
Right. So we'll make sure that we put that link in there, and you can probably get access to everything too. And we'll put that in there.
You can get everything just go to Success to Significance, and I've got all the links there. It's a special welcome that I created just for the podcast today. So absolutely, there's a free gift there, which is the advantage that you can create for yourself.
Awesome. I love it. And so Tori, I always ask everybody, this is the only thing I ask everybody pretty much the same. Well, I don't know. Sometimes it's different. Sometimes I say, what book are you reading right now? What's your one word for next year? What quote would you like to leave us? Or is there anything else you would like to leave us? Any one of those is fine.
Goodness. One of my favorite quotes is, there are extraordinary possibilities in ordinary people. I love the word possibility. Yes, possibility becomes probability, becomes extraordinary. And, when you think about extraordinary, it's really just a little extra than ordinary. And I find that really brings that word into something you can achieve, something that's possible, because it's just a little extra. What can you do just a little extra? And the work that you do helping folks to scale and to live beyond their business, and the work that I do helping them scale and really connect with that vision and connect with just the meaning and the feeling of joy as they grow their business is significant in itself. So I'll leave them with extraordinary.
I love that. Yeah, I think that is fantastic. So thank you again. And, for those of you that are listening, grab the information that we have in the notes, in the show notes. Make sure that you have that opportunity to look through it, and then reach out to Tori if there's, a need that you have, or you want her to speak at one of your events. And you're located in Colorado. Yes?
I'm in Maryland.
In Maryland. I don't know why I thought Colorado.
Well, we were talking about other states before.
I guess.
We were all over the globe.
You're just over the bridge from me. You're across the Potomac Ocean from me.
Yes.
Which is so funny because here in Maryland, DC, and Virginia, it's called the DMV, like sort of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, right? The DFW.
Yeah.
We're the DMV, and going across that Potomac Ocean is like an ocean. It's just
Oh my goodness.
but nobody passes over it. It's well, a
No.
ton of people do every day because the traffic's horrible, but not me.
Yeah, I used to drive, when I had some client calls down in Northern Virginia, I would have to cross the Potomac, and
Uh-huh.
I'd have to plan a 3-hour journey to
Right,
go
right.
20 miles.
It's crazy. It's crazy how it is here. I love it. Well, again, Tori, thank you so much for being with me today. I really, really appreciate it. And I look forward to being part of your podcast, which, we're working on as well. And so we'll do a little pod swap going on, but and so we'll share those notes later on. We'll go back in and make some adjustments so people can listen on that side too. But I thank you so much for being here, for doing what you're doing. It's a pleasure to, get to meet you and know you a little bit better. We're both in a great network called the Dames. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
That'd be awesome. Thank you, Jen, Lady Jen, so much.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And again, thank you so much for watching and listening to us. Please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And there's all kinds of, yeah, that's right. She's doing it. I'm about ready to do this too. We're both, pointing our fingers down. All kinds of links and great resources available to for you down below, as well as how to get in touch with Tori. So with that, we'll catch you next time on Mortgage Lending Mastery.
You've been listening to Success to Significance with Jen Du Plessis, the #1 podcast for people wanting to give more value and make an impact. Loved this episode? Be sure to subscribe right now at www.jenduplessis.com/S2S for more stories, strategies, and thoughts to help you gain significance and success. And if you like what we're doing, don't forget to give us a rating and review so we can continue to bring you the best content possible. Join us next week for another breakthrough episode. Thank you for listening.